In the absence of a quorum, we do not have the people here to have a meeting. We need 4. We have 3. So at this point, I think we're done. But if somebody has any comments that they would like to make, I don't think that's out of line. If you don't have a problem with it, okay.
I have a couple comments and a handout.
No PowerPoint?
Okay, PowerPoint on print. Okay. East Central Illinois Mass Transit District remaining funds. For dissolving the district, the East Central Illinois Mass Transit District voted and passed a resolution to dissolve the district. They had to get approval from the counties, Edgar and Clark. Edgar County, which is this county, passed a resolution authorizing them to dissolve. Well, here's the fourth person.
Can you hold up for a minute? And we'll go ahead and, since we do have a quorum, we'll go ahead and stand and say the pledge. Since Carl's already standing. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We do have a quorum. It's 10:32,
9:32?
9:32, or 10:32 in Indiana. For those of you, at any rate, it's 9:32. Public comment.
Okay, East Central Illinois Mass Transit District remaining funds. The district dissolved under the local Mass Transit District Act. East Central Illinois Mass Transit District Board of Trustees voted and passed a resolution to dissolve the district. And then it was up to both the counties and Clark and Edgar to approve that. We did. Edgar County passed a resolution authorizing them to dissolve. All their obligations and legitimate claims have been settled as required by the local Mass Transit District Act, Section 9A, which states, and I know it's kind of small, that whenever the Board of Trustees determines there is no longer public need for its transportation services, or that other adequate services are or can be made available, that part of that sentence, I believe that was the legislature's telling them that if there's another mass transit district that can do the job, that's what that means. So they determine it's no longer needed or other adequate services are or can be made available and they should terminate. Then they, by resolution, recommending termination or discontinuance. And then it's up to the county board to discontinue. And then at the lower part of that small print, after payment of all its debts and settlement of all obligations and claims, any funds remaining after the sale and disposition of its property, if you remember right, they were forced to sell everything, shall be disposed of by payment to the treasurer of the county or counties which created it, which was Clark and Edgar, or payment to the several treasurers of the counties, which is Clark and Edgar. Next page. All their property has been sold or disposed of. The Bureau Chief of Transit Operations wrote to the East Central Illinois Mass Transit trustee that he knew and said the department now considers the grants related to East Central Illinois Mass Transit District operations settled and closed. That means bam, they're done. IDOT has nothing left to do with those grants, period. All the other claims have been settled. Anybody they owed any money or anything like that. The bottom of page 2, once again, any funds remaining after the sale and disposition of its property shall be disposed of by payment to the several treasurers. The next page, top page 3. Clark and Edgar County created the Mass Transit District, and I'm just restating that once again. There's no options to give that money to another mass transit. There's nothing in the Mass Transit District Act authorizing one transit district to annex another. There's nothing authorizing them to merge into each other, which is why, and we fought this a couple of years ago, they were going to merge, if you remember, and then they had to come back with a different option, which is to dissolve. The only way Edgar County could be annexed into Rides Mass Transit was to dissolve East Central, sell everything, and then once there was no, even if it's only for 1 second, no East Central Illinois Mass Transit District, then Rides could annex Clark and Edgar County. So they had to dissolve, then they could annex in. If you need more clarification on that, I can give it to you, but it's in the Mass Transit District Act, and it's in it's in the local Mass Transit District Act. Payment to the several treasurers. Section 9A directs that repayment of funds used to create the district, which there wasn't, be paid to back to the counties that created it if they used any of their funds to create the district. Then, if any funds are still remaining, then it goes back to the counties on a pro rata or whatever basis.
Based on mileage and so forth.
Yeah. That's a mandatory directive of the Local Mass Transit District Act to pay it to the counties. It doesn't say may pay, it says shall pay. It doesn't say may pay unless another mass transit annexes it and wants the money. Additionally, nothing in the county's code authorizes Edgar County or any county to pay money to any mass transit district, period. And if you look back on Dillon's rule, Illinois is a Dillon's rule state, and you don't have the powers to do anything unless it's given to you by the state legislature.
Now, we're told that we have an agreement with them. I mean, some of us were there and passed an agreement, right? A resolution.
Well,
Right, Carl, that said we would get rid of the county, or the mass transit district, and that we would give them the remaining funds, didn't we?
Yes.
Well, I'm looking for somebody official.
but that was part,
I
part of
can't
the
say yes or
resolution.
no, but I can't say specifically.
But I mean,
remember.
the state's attorney has told me that we passed, and you've seen it, right? So, how,
You
he
can't,
says because we have an agreement to do that we have to pay them.
you can't pass resolutions that violate state law. You can pass a resolution saying you're gonna give him money to, give him $1 million to build a new restaurant. That doesn't mean he can sue you for it if you don't give it to him.
Well, we passed, remember, we kept passing those fees for the other departments, like the health department, and we weren't allowed to do that even though we passed them. So the law did not give us the permission to do that,
Right.
so we had to discontinue doing that.
And I'll forward this email to whoever wants it,
You do it,
to Augie, so he can give
yeah,
it to
whatever, if you would be, because
There's two court cases that set the precedent. Ruby Chevrolet versus Department of Revenue, Chicago Cosmetic Company versus the City of Chicago. When there's a conflict between a statutory provision and a rule or resolution of the county board, the rule or resolution of the county must give way to the statute. It goes back to the county's code, does not give you the authority to pay money to any mass transit district, period. The statute covering the transfer of those funds is the Local Mass Transit District Act, and it says shall be paid to the counties. And the other argument Rides has is, well, the residents never give any money, and they did. Well, they did. My second to the last point. Edgar County residents paid into East Central Illinois Mass Transit with payments for usage, and through their townships making annual per capita payments to East Central Illinois Mass Transit using taxpayer funds. Townships can support operations like that. It's in the township code. Counties cannot, just like I'm sure municipalities may be able to. I don't know.
So it is in the township code to do that?
Township can do almost anything they want to do.
Did any of the
They did it if
townships
they can.
do that?
Yes.
Yes, they did.
Well, they were getting invoiced, in fact, I addressed this because we stopped paying. They were getting an invoice for the service yearly, and they would just pay it. When I got the invoice, my question was, where does it say I can do it? And after talking with IDOT, there's nothing in the township code that authorizes me to pay an invoice from any mass transit district. They're doing it statewide, but there's nothing, no statutory authority allowing it. But all the taxpayers in this county have been paying into that through their townships for years.
Sims quit doing it. Kansas quit doing it. But they have been doing it, so
So we do have an investment in that, in that organization.
so his claims that owe the taxpayer, well, yes, they have.
Do you have anything else? Because I kind of let you.
Yeah, my last resolution, my last point was that resolution. The county's code doesn't authorize payments to a mass transit district.
Well, this is kind of out of order, but Augie, can you provide what he's what he's presented us here? Tell us that, you know, there's only 4 of us, 7 board members here today. And that we need to put this on the agenda of the next study session, and we would like, I assume that you guys would like to hear from the state's attorney directly rather than he kind of couldn't be here today, but in a way I'm kind of glad he couldn't be here because we're missing 3 guys. And we all need to decide, this isn't a 1-person or a 2-person decision. We need to all understand all of the questions, and please convey to the state's attorney, we're just trying to sort it out. Whatever we do, we want to do the right thing, okay? And nobody's got any axes to grind. We'll get through it one way or the other. If we owe it, you know, we'll somehow weather the storm and deal with it. And if we don't owe it, we'll have all the information to make that decision.
Got it.
Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Does anybody disagree with that? So we would like the state's attorney to be at our next study session, okay? Nobody's threatening anybody, it's just, we just need to deal with it, okay? Any other comments? Yes, Kurt?
I'd like to add a couple things. One of the original arguments on the mass transit was that it was all grant money that formed it. So therefore, and I think one of the recent letters outlined, well, since it was grant money, it has to stay in transportation, or it has to be transferred to the transportation. That's a fallacy. And the case in point is, fire departments get grants all the time from the federal government. We got a grant for our air packs. There's a life cycle of a grant. Once the grant's closed, you own that property. And it's yours to do with whatever you please after the grant cycle. If I wanted to sell our air packs, since we're out of our grant cycle, I could sell them and go buy something new. If you get a fire truck, well, that fire truck is yours. If you want to, and a lot of them will trade it or sell it after the grant cycle. It's no different with your mass transit. Even though there was grant money involved, it doesn't mean that everything that ever happened in that entity gets transferred to some new entity. If that's their argument, it's the same question I always ask. Where in the law does it say that? And it doesn't. And that's the argument. And I think if we take an aggressive stance of says who with what proof to rides, you're going to keep your money. We should be fighting to keep it, not finding reasons why to give it up. And the law's on your side.
Just to give a little background, the last time this came up and why nothing's happened at this point, an inspector general contacted me, and then I put him in contact with the state's attorney. And basically his read was that was not to be anything else but the county's money.
And that was Bill Winberg, chief auditor of IDOT, and that's an appointed position, and with the governor change, he's not there anymore, but he made it very clear, he talked with you, he's talked with us, I know he's talked with Mark, that belongs to the county. That is county funds, the statute is clear, period.
It would be nice to find his counterpart now to have him weigh in to this also.
I'll do what I can.
Well, at any rate, anybody got any further questions or Go ahead, Carl.
Well, I know, we've obviously been told in the past that it's ours, but what's changed in the last 30 days or 60 days?
I'm not sure. I really couldn't tell you. I know that they finished an audit, which I haven't seen. I don't think Mark's seen.
They won't give
Anybody's
it
seen.
up.
I don't know that, because I haven't asked Mark if he's seen that audit. And for some reason, he says, well, again, I'm trying to interpret what he says.
Right.
And I think, well, I can't speak for Mark.
Okay, all right, appreciate it.
But we've all been, one way or another, told that, unless something happens, that's our money. And so, I mean, even Mark, after he talked to the IDOT guy, said, it appears that's our money.
Isn't
So-
that how you got the check in the first place? It was, they wouldn't have issued it to you guys when we first had it resolved under the last administration, I thought.
But that's been
Well, you're
what,
saying that Mark and everybody's saying it's our money, but then how's come all of a sudden we gotta pay it back?
I don't know.
The guy from IDOT wrote a letter saying it should go to the.
Should.
It should go to the
Yeah,
RIDE.
we have that letter.
And I filed a complaint with the Office of the Executive Inspector General of IDOT over his letter, because his letter is encouraging the county to violate the law. And he don't have the authority to tell anybody what to do with that money, let alone tell them to violate the law.
I guess that is because the guy wrote the letter. Can you
Right.
send Augie that letter?
I got a copy of that letter from, actually straight from IDOT.
So that is to, I think, who was that written to?
That was written to King Sutton, and the date of the letter.
But I guess that would be the
October
point in
30.
time
I see.
when we've got this now an individual in IDOT saying that it should. It doesn't say it shall.
Okay.
It just says, and I guess based on that,
And when you read their fine print letters, it's a lot of suggestive, you should, we want you to, but there's no statutory direction saying you shall do this and here's why.
we don't even know how much they think they should receive either.
Right.
I mean,
Because that's the other big question. If you do owe them, well, what about all the taxpayers in Edgar County that have paid for rides? They pay
we owe
when
them
they get on that bus?
$11,000, $110,000. I don't know what we owe or what they think we owe.
All right.
Anyway, it's something we all gotta get together on, find out the information, and then deal with it. Are you done?
Sure.
You didn't have anything? John's done. So we can move into committee reports. We're kinda informal, it's Christmas. I don't, I'm just so happy you don't have to go over. By the way, I have memorized your presentation, so if you're ever not there and you wanna do it, I can do it for you.
We know
This could
you
be
are a
nice.
citizen of the United States
That's,
of America.
that's right.
Thank you, thank you.
At any rate, I can start it off. I can't ad lib like you do.
Merry Christmas.
Thanks, Rob. You got a report?
Yeah, so we had an airport meeting last week, and the big one was we actually voted on replacing our member of the advisory committee, and a vote of 4, Spencer Jokes was selected. Carl, any insight or anything you want to add to that?
And 2 of you, I understand, voted for him that are on the committee. So is that the committee's recommendation then?
Well, that's not the case.
Okay,
No.
all right.
Mike and I, neither one voted.
Oh, I thought you did.
We did not vote.
Okay.
I didn't vote, and Mike told me he didn't vote.
I know Mike didn't. He thought you did, but I
No,
don't.
I didn't.
Okay.
I didn't.
So we need a committee recommendation at some point on who to put on the board, okay? The advisory board makes a recommendation to the committee, and then the committee passes it on,
If we concur.
if you concur,
Right.
right?
We need to have an advisory.
Need an airport
Committee.
committee. 3 members of the airport committee, right?
Right. Well, let me know when you guys get it figured out.
My only concern was that, I guess, they were talking about it, and there was, 3 or 4 of the people were there, and I turned around and I said, what can you tell us about yourself? And we didn't get a whole lot of information, quite honestly.
From anybody. True.
Yeah, and I'm not, I mean, some of them I know, some of them I don't know, and I don't feel like I heard enough that day to make a decision, quite honestly. Other than personal, personal
Sure.
knowledge, but, and I haven't talked to Mike, and I haven't talked to you, Derek, whether, we're gonna just take that recommendation or try to gather more information about these individuals. I don't know what their, I didn't hear anything about what their thoughts for the future of the airport, or, I just didn't hear a whole lot of anything,
No.
quite honestly. I'd
Well,
like to know
additionally-
what they're thinking on the future for the airport, how we can make things better.
Well, additionally, the committee could also open it up and say, look, Mike, for example, Mike's told me several times, he would step aside so another person could serve on the airport in his stead. We could do that. The board committee could recommend that and put 2 people, or recommend 2 people, really. So, you're open to all kinds of different things that if you'd like to
Right.
do. Okay? Go ahead, I interrupted.
That was pretty much it. So I guess indecision rules as far as that goes, and there's going to be some changes. This is ridiculous. So I will get I apologize, and I will get a firm grasp on this committee, and we will get something done because this is ridiculous. So stand by to stand by.
I will, Commander. All right. Are you done with your report
Yep.
then? I think you are. Carl,
Nothing on the unions.
you should know that, and I'm telling you because I just left the treasurer's office, there was a discrepancy in how pay was being compiled in the sheriff's department. They had a different cutoff time from everybody else in the county as far as when the secretary turned in. And talking to the auditor, he said everybody should be on the same schedule. At any rate, the sheriff probably could tell you a little bit about that. I assume they've talked to you about the pay and
Yeah, about
cutoff
that, on
time.
that Saturday and Sunday overtime stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that is being taken care of, but I understand we have a grievance filed by one individual at least, because we're making changes, but I guess Don got the auditors involved, and that's per law, and that's what it's supposed to be, so.
Right.
So, at any rate, I just wanted to make you aware of that in case you hear that. So, it's not like they're not gonna get paid, it's just when the cutoff time is, so they can do their work, and so the feds, if they come in and audit, everything is the same. Everybody's on the same deal, and that's based on law, so, at any rate, that was the only thing I had. Augie, you got anything?
No, I'm good.
You're good? You're worrying me. Andy?
I got a couple things. Number one, I got a report from WJE on the roof stabilization. It's the final report on what they did, and there's pictures that show a lot of the repairs that they did. Anyway, it's just a final report on that section. The roof stabilization project is basically, we bought ourselves some time now. So now I'm gonna go into step 2 at some point of figuring out where we're gonna go, or where we're gonna get money to do it correctly. But I went up the other day during one of those rains, and there's no leaks. The buckets are all dry. So it's stabilized for a few years while we figure out the next step.
Andy, could I please have a
I
copy
did,
of
I
that?
made an extra copy, and that was for you.
Oh, okay.
How's that? I thought I'd bring one for people to look at, and then I want you to have one to put in the rest of the stuff.
Thank you. And I can make copies and get
Anybody
out
else wants?
Yeah.
Okay.
to everybody if they're interested in it.
The most important part is the conclusion on the back,
Yeah,
that they say that basically that they did a good job.
they did a good job, I think. You don't see any leaks coming down around the doors anymore, do you?
No, we just throw a rug over that and, no, I'm kidding.
I know that's what we've done in the past, I'm trying, but,
No, I haven't noticed anything.
okay, so.
Go ahead.
One more thing, I've been working with the probation department.
Oh, yeah, on the
On the,
petition or whatever.
yeah, and what he originally wanted to do was put a partition between those two offices in probation, which would have made about a 9 by 7 foot, 2 9 by 7 foot, really way too small for an office, I thought, man, I thought it would look like you cobbled something up, but what we've done is we talked to Judge Garsht and the judges, you know, where the old law library is up there, there's tons of those books, and in talking to the judge, he said they don't use those books
Those are
anymore.
window dressing, yeah.
Yeah, he goes, all those books are, because everything's done by computer now, nobody uses those books. There were a few of them he did want to keep, but he said, honestly, they put it out to the Edgar County Bar, and anybody wanted the books, nobody wanted them. We're actually in the process of getting rid of them now. You want some?
I'd like some.
They're in the basement, stacked up,
Getting ready for,
getting ready to ship out, I
The
guess.
law library is open to all residents. Now, if they're gonna convert to electronic, are they gonna allow people access to the electronic
These are
records?
just, this is just statutes.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
that's the
statute.
law library.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
all
you have
that,
access to that online, don't you?
the tax
Well-
was taken to, and it provides, well, I'll write something up, send it to you.
Okay.
Well, and that's for the judges to decide, not us. The
Yeah, because
judges
if they're
are
gonna get
deciding
rid
that.
of the law
So
library,
don't get
then
us
we
in
can't
the
keep
middle of
taxing
that.
it.
Right.
Well, the law library is still there.
Yes.
It's all the stuff that
It's all
was
the books.
back behind that
They're like old volumes
old
of law books
stuff
and.
that
and they're not
was not
keeping up
part
to
of the
date.
law library. They were, I think they
Oh.
were just reference books.
They are reference books, and a lot of them get sent every year automatically, and they quit sending them in like '08 or something, I think. You don't even get the books anymore, and they're just ones that, I think they just
It's
send
like,
them.
Service
it's like
bulletproofing.
the statutes, when they come in, every year since I've been here, I've refused a new paper copy to save us $700-800 a group. I just go online and get it.
My thing was, they're still
That's all
collecting the
they are.
tax.
Well, you'd have to take that up with the judges.
Okay.
All they would need to do is, if that room's still the library, if they had a computer in there, the general public is supposed to be able to use the library.
Still the library, as I understand it.
Yeah, and there is still a library back in that one section. I mean, we're just kind of
Yeah,
compressing it and getting rid of a lot of the excess so that we can utilize the building a little bit better than what it's presently done. So we're gonna, actually put a door for probation. This is kind of what the proposal is, there's an old door up in the attic that matches the rest of the doors in the courthouse. Put a doorway in between there and put a couple offices back in there. So because Monty Smith is getting kind of pressed by the state. I guess there's a statute, you can't have sex offenders in with underage people in the probation. So they need to be in an isolated office from each other. And he says presently he can't do that where he is. So that's part of what, and probation, he's got the funds that are basically gonna pay for the
That's what I was
majority
gonna
of
say,
it. Yeah.
make sure that.
Where are they gonna put the new offices?
You know, as you come into probation, to the left are all those, as soon as you come in, well, come around past where John sits, but into that
Right.
main part, there's a bunch of shelves along that wall.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you go down, you could actually put a doorway right at the end of that and go back into.
In behind that little
Yeah.
meeting room,
Yes.
back there where all those books
That back
are.
door in the law library, that room, see, they had a cubicle made out of them, they're
Right,
just basically making solid walls.
right, okay.
So they are not taking the existing law library and
No.
partitioning it off.
No.
That still stays. That was, I
I mean,
think, my
courtroom
point.
3?
Yes.
Yes. Courtroom
Yeah.
3, and that was part of what the judge said, no, we don't want, I initially said, well, why don't we move that? And he said, no, we're gonna leave that there, so that's still there. And will be there. We're just putting a door in behind that,
Okay.
and then using the back part of that.
Understood.
Make sure that.
Well, that back there where that computer used to see in that little other little room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you can go in the back way of the courtroom,
Right.
two through there too.
Anything else?
Nope, that's it.
Jeff, do you have
I have
anything?
nothing this time.
I have a couple things real quick. MFT money, you know, the state reached an agreement, the governor signed it here, what, 2 weeks ago, roughly? Anyway, the county motor fuel tax money, we've gotten a check for $137,145.47. And the townships or the counties received for the townships for distribution, $496,628.06 in the back. So that restores us up to the present, or most of it. We also received video gaming tax receipts from last year to the tune of $3,347. So that part, if you
How
get
much was it?
$3,347, we usually get $600 a month, so that makes up for that 5 or 6 months that we haven't received any, okay?
And so this is gonna show a surplus on 2016 budget.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, we did not budget getting anything for anything in the past, so, like Mark's salary, the supervisor of assessment, some of the other, the roughly 140 that, if you use Don's figures, was not budgeted in as income, okay? So as we get that stuff in, and this isn't part of it, okay? 137 is a highway budget, it's not general fund, so we just got a little bit of taste of what if we get things straightened out, what we're gonna get, so, okay?
So was that our deficit in the highway fund for last year? Was it all, or was that where our deficit existed, was in the highway fund due to the lack of motor fuel tax?
Correct.
Okay.
All right? That's all I've got, guys, other than wish you all a Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Does anybody have any questions or anything else that we should discuss today? The next meeting will be at 9 o'clock on January 11th, 2016, right here. And that'll be a study session. And then following the 13th, that Wednesday, we'll have a board meeting. Okay? That's all I got. Oh, TIF. We have the TIF agreements that will be here, but we'll go over those in the study session. I doubt if Augie has them all here, but
No,
it's fairly straightforward. We knew what was coming, but we have stuff that we have to execute, so that'll be on the agenda next time. Okay? Thank you. You're adjourned.
Till next year.
Till next
Till
year.
next year. Happy New Year.